This is VSiN PrimeTime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
It's almost game time here on PrimeTime. VSiN on a Friday night. Will Hill, Matt Youmans. So let's go right out to Progressive Guest Line because we're moments away from tip, and we got to find out where the action's going on tonight's game. Jeff Sherman, oddsmaker at the Westgate Superbook, joins us now. And, Jeff, thanks for jumping on tonight. What's the betting action been like on this game? Because the hype is off the hook after what happened in Game 1 with the Pacers coming back from 17 down in the fourth quarter and winning in overtime.
Yeah, there's no question there's increased interest in it tonight. A little bit more on the Pacers side with the point spread, but we're a little bit heavy on the Knicks side on the money line. So from that perspective, people think the Knicks will not be down 0-2.
Right now, it's a Superbook Knicks -6, total of 224.5. Jeff, typically when the home favorite loses Game 1, you're going to see the betting public pile on that home favorite in Game 2. So you see more action on the Knicks laying the 6 or on the money line, or how's this game being bet?
Yeah, a little bit more on the Pacers plus a 6. It reached as high as 6.5, and we saw some buyback there. But like I said, the Knicks money line, that's crept up. We're as low as -220. We're sitting at -250 right now.
Jeff, with these crazy comebacks, how late do you leave the lines up? Do you have people taking a shot on Indy down big late? I can't imagine they would, but do you leave up these money lines late? And how late do you post these spreads into the game?
Well, usually the spreads stay up late. We'll go into the last minute of that, but the money lines usually come up, depending on the score, obviously, but usually with about 2 minutes left. So at that point, usually things are decided. So I know in this last one, we didn't have a money line up within the last 2 minutes, but we had a spread fluidly throughout.
I can't remember, probably the Golden State Warriors with those great teams where it was a Final Four. We're down to the conference finals here, and there was seemingly inevitable that one team was going to be the champion like OKC is now. I see -$3 a lot of spots. Is it one-way traffic? Are people turned off by that price? And how would you do here if the Thunder do win the title like we all expect?
Yeah, we're sitting at -325, and there are one really solid position because our odds had been so low all season. So we didn't have too many people put too much money on them. They turned elsewhere, and our liability lies with Minnesota at this point, and a little bit to New York and Indiana, but we have so much room to work with. That would be in a positive on 3 out of the 4. If Minnesota were to make it in, it's a pretty steep liability for us there.
Jeff Sherman, VP at the Westgate Superbook. You can follow him at Golf Odds, NBA Golf Odds Maker. Will, we talked about this last night. I can't remember your specific answer. Did you have futures on the OKC Thunder pending?
I jumped in a couple days ago before Minnesota -150, -150. Then again, like -185. So not great numbers, but to me, it just seems inevitable. And those aren't fancy, sexy numbers. But a few days later, I'm happy to have them in my back pocket.
Jeff, how about you? You've got a reputation for always having the best number on almost every bet you make. Did you play the Thunder on the futures? Did you get in early on the Thunder at a good number? What do you have riding on them personally?
Yeah, the only thing I have is in the first week of the season when you could start to feel things out. I play them at +310 and +240 for the West. So I haven't done anything against it. I've just let that go at this point. Well,
you're in a pretty good position right there. How about, you said the book is in a good position on the OKC Thunder. How high did you get on OKC?
They weren't too high this season. If I had to recall, maybe 8-1 early in the season, but it wasn't too high. And they quickly dropped as we saw their start of the season, and so there just wasn't too much interest. Usually you see the larger interest on teams that have historically done something like the Celtics. We took a lot on Boston, even at short odds, but nothing much on OKC. A
68-win team. They got off to a pretty good start. Were there any books out there that got to 10-1 or higher on OKC? Because I can't recall that. Did you ever see double digits?
I don't recall seeing that myself, and I think if you would have, you probably would have gotten some quick money on that.
I asked you which team from the East could give the Thunder more of a struggle in the NBA Finals, Pacers or the Knicks, and you said neither team can knock off the Thunder. Is there a team you feels like has a slightly better shot? How do you think the Finals might be priced if it's the Pacers or the Knicks?
Yeah, right now we would think that it would be the Thunder -$4 against the Knicks and about $5 against the Pacers. But with your question regarding that, I personally think the Pacers would have a better shot because of the style that they play. And I think that Indiana can beat any team on any given night with the way they shoot the basketball. Now, the tough part would be 4 times out of 7 games here. So if they can get on a short run over a few games, I just think that they would have a better shot with their style of play against Oak City than New York could.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of who OKC plays coming out of the East, are we looking at a situation where OKC's about even money, maybe slightly plus money just to sweep? Are we looking at that exaggerated of a price going into the finals?
Oh, no, it wouldn't be that low. It'd be you get some plus money on that. I would expect around 2-1. So,
Okay.
But it's you look at it, it's got to be a lot larger of a series price to be in that type of range.
Jeff, what's your thought process here on the Knicks bouncing back tonight? You said you've got a good number on the Knicks first half. You get a great number, Knicks first half minus 2.5. You're not going to find that out there in the market now. Do you think the Knicks bounce back and get off to a fast start in the first quarter, first half tonight, or is there possibly a hangover effect from what happened on Wednesday night?
It's a really tough call. I mean, I lean to the quick start just because of the situation historically, what I've seen here. And, from a coaching perspective, you need to put the team in a frame of mind to get them right for that. And if they don't, then I think that's coaching preparation. But I can share that we just took sharp money on the Pacers +6. So as the game's tipping off, we're closing at 5.5 right now.
All right, there you go. Sharp money showing up late, right before tip on the Pacers. Total 224.5. Jeff, any thoughts on the total or sharp action you've seen on the total?
We've actually just taken some under money from a lot of public, nothing sharp, but it's been driven down to 223.5 at our place.
Anything in the player prop market that jumped out to you with Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns going berserk in Game 1? Tyrese Halliburton's going to be a popular player. Did you see anything you liked or any action that jumped out to you on the player props?
We've seen a lot of public support on Jalen Brunson over 29.5 points, and that's about it. So not too much. It's been lightly bet in the player prop market at our place.
What do you think happens tonight, Jeff, with number now 5.5 or 6, money line around minus 250? Do you think the Knicks even this series?
I do. I think they'll come away with a win. It's just too big of a hole for them to put themselves in 0-2. So, but I would lean that way, although Indiana is more than capable of pulling it off themselves. And, I heard you mention JVT saying about this being too high at 6. I agree. I mean, the first game, 4.5, and then you get into that spot about must win, and it accentuates the line a little bit too much. And if I had to play it, I would have taken the points before the game overall.
There was a 6.5 that popped up out there at DraftKings here within the past hour, but that 6.5 is now gone. Jeff Sherman, VP at the Westgate Superbook at Golf Odds. Jeff, appreciate you jumping on tonight. Thanks.
Oh, no problem. Thanks, guys.
Will
Thanks,
Hill,
Jeff.
what are your thoughts there with Jeff saying a little sharp action shows up on the Pacers there right before tip when Superbook drops to 5.5 and 223.5, a little under an underdog play?
It makes sense to me. I mean, you could talk about the situation, the motivation. It is hard to get to 6.5 between two teams who are just about as dead even as it gets. You can even make the case maybe Indiana's a touch better. So especially with the Pacers, their knack for coming back, and we can say, hey, the team that loses Game 1 at home usually rolls in Game 2. I've always been a believer in that too, but not the Pacers. Pacers went up 1-0 in Cleveland, and they were down big in Game 2. They came back and won.
Yeah.
The Knicks, same team. We're down 1-0 in Boston, down big in Game 2. Same thing. Could mail it in. We got our split. We're happy. Nope, they came back and won. So that trend has not been as strong recently. So I could certainly understand taking the points. JVT's point about this line being inflated and you're paying a major premium tax here on the situation, I think is a good one.
I'm glad you brought up that point about Game 2 in Cleveland. I was thinking about that because that was a spot where the Cavs, the top seed in the East, lost Game 1 at home, and you think, oh, they're going to be a great bet in Game 2, and the Cavs came out and kicked the Pacers' butts in the first half. But they ended up losing the game. Pacers took both games in Cleveland to go up 2-0 in the series before the Cavs finally did get a game in Indianapolis. But, yeah, the Pacers took 2 in Cleveland, and they could take 2 in New York. But, Will, I think both you and it's not going to be easy tonight by any stretch. It'll be big runs both ways, typical NBA game back and forth. I think the Knicks find a way to maybe pull away a little bit in the fourth quarter and hold the lead this time and even this series. And that's why we have the Knicks-Yankees money line parlay tonight, right?
what could possibly go wrong? No, we should be good. Should be good.
Yeah.
I feel good about the Knicks winning. Feel good about the Yankees winning. So should be fun. Should make for a fun show. Sweat. What is the tip time here? Because I've been watching baseball. Are we 8 Eastern? Are we soon to a tip? I know last night we got like 8:30. It was really more like 8:45. Is this like an 8 o'clock Eastern tip? I haven't even looked.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like 8:10. I think it's tipping off right now. We don't have the game on. Actually, it's supposed to start at 8 after. We don't have that channel on here in the studio. We need to get that on. But I think the game just tipped off. And the Knicks score the first 2 points of the game. So there you go. We got the hockey game on in here, but no basketball game, so we got to get that fixed. Anyway, Will, did you play the total or consider playing the total, and do you think the Knicks have to slow the pace of this game? Because the Pacers are the deeper team. Obviously, the Knicks can't go very deep on their bench. Do you think the Knicks got to have Brunson walk the ball up or slow the pace of this game tonight to be a little bit more effective?
I agree. A fast pace favors Indy because they like to play that pace and they have the deeper team. So I think your thought is a good one as a good start for the Pacers here, as it is 8-3. Now 8-6 is the Knicks hit a 3. So we're off and running here. Hopefully we can come somewhat close to the excitement we got in game 1.
Yeah, we're already a little over 3 minutes into the game here. Pacers 8, Knicks 6. We're going to track the live betting throughout Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And how about that? Pascal Siakam knocks down a 3. Another hot start for the Pacers, who started 9 for 9 from the field in Game 1, but still trailed at the end of the first quarter. So we've got a long way to go here in Game 2. Quick break. VSiN PrimeTime. Chuck Esposito of the Red Rock Sportsbook is going to join us here shortly. We got a hockey game. Puck's about to drop in Dallas.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Puck's about to drop in Dallas. Oilers, Stars. The Stars lead that series 1-0. Stars going to go off as short home favorites tonight, minus 120, total of 6.5. Game 2 in Dallas. Well, it didn't take long for the live betting adjustment to kick in here. If you didn't like laying 6 with the Knicks and you wanted to wait a little bit, how about now? Pacers are up 16-9. That money line on the Knicks pregame was minus 240, 250. Knicks went off as 5.5-point favorites at the Westgate Superbook, 6 at most spots, including Circa and DraftKings. At 16-9, it is now Knicks minus 2.5 and minus 145. That's the adjustment 6 minutes into the game, and that's the DraftKings live odds board. How about that, Will? Now you can lay the Knicks at a discounted price if you wait 6 minutes.
Yep, it's just another example of why live betting in the NBA is a better way to go about it a lot of times. And if you had the belief that the Knicks were going to come out annoyed, hair on fire, pumped up, motivated, all that stuff, well, maybe we'll see it, but we haven't seen it yet. More hot shooting from the Pacers, a little bit of a sluggish start from the Knicks. So Pacers with a chance here to go for the kill and win this game. I mean, it's very early, but a 7-point lead, if they're able to extend this lead and make the Knicks play catch up, that building, that garden is going to get very tight, and staring at an 0-2 deficit going on the road is not a good scenario here for the Knicks. So long way to go. I wouldn't mind jumping in on the Knicks here. I think, look, 7 points, it's nothing, especially with a high total like this. I think the Knicks are okay, but we'll see here. Got to get it going here pretty quickly if you're the Knicks.
Well, the Knicks are going to be fine. Look, there's a long, long way to go in a game like this, and I actually think this is a great spot to jump in. If you like the Knicks, you didn't bet a pregame because the price scared you off. You didn't want to lay 6. You didn't want to lay 240 or 250. Now's a good time. Knicks minus 2.5, minus 145. I would say if you liked it and didn't bet it, now's a great time to jump in. Pascal Siakam's off to a hot start for the Pacers. He's got 11 of the first 16 points. Well, I mentioned it in the first game. The Pacers made their first 9 shots from the field and still trailed at the end of the first quarter. So I think the discount price you get on the Knicks right now is definitely worth taking if you didn't bet at pregame. Knicks are 2 for 5 from 3-point range. So are the Pacers at this point. So I wouldn't be too concerned with what's happened here in the first half of the first quarter. You know how these NBA games are. They're so volatile with so many runs. And we saw it in Game 1. We're going to see it again tonight. So that's what we talk about here with live betting on this show a lot of times. Is when do you jump in? When's the right time? I would say now is a good time to jump in on the Knicks. Would you agree if you didn't bet a pregame?
I would agree. And we talked about how that 2.5 for the first quarter was inflated. It's just hard to cover these spreads. I mean, you just leave yourself very little margin for error. You fall behind when you're laying 2.5 in the first quarter. You fall behind 5-7 points. You're basically dead. I mean, that's asking a lot. If you don't bet quarters all the time, you maybe don't think, oh, you win by 3, it's no big deal. I hate laying out any points in any quarters in any of these games. Sometimes, first quarter in NFL, just so many times you see that tied. It's hard to get margin in a first quarter. So the Pacers in the first quarter, at least so far, is looking like a smart bet, and smarter bets do start here and last all year with VSiN Pro. Right now, sign up on an annual subscription and get 14 months for just $199 when you use promo code PRO. That's 2 extra months free for less than 50 cents a day. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today and get instant access to a daily email with all the best bets from hosts and their guests, real-time betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, 24/7 video access on the VSiN Watch app, plus full access to VSiN.com's analytics, betting trends, and expert breakdowns. Don't wait. Go to VSiN.com/subscribe and use promo code PRO to lock in this offer. That's VSiN.com/subscribe. It's a pretty good deal there, Matt.
Yeah, this NBA game got a quick start tonight. Didn't waste much time after 5 p.m. Pacific tipping in the Garden, but the hockey game is a little bit behind schedule. Puck was supposed to drop at 5:10, and it's about 5:20, and the game has not started yet. Here at Circa, the price on the Dallas Stars just ticked up a little bit from -112 to -115. So Stars a little bit bigger favorites. Total 6.5 shaded under -120 on that one, and still not underway in Dallas in Game 2. Pacers up 19-9, and I'll stick by it. You don't know what's going to happen, who's going to score the next bucket. But the live line bottomed out here at Knicks -1.5. We were talking about it at 2.5. Money line still -140, 19-11. But this is the second game in a row the Pacers have gotten off to a hot start here in the first quarter. And Jalen Brunson hits that short jumper to make it 19-11. But the Pacers offense is firing here early. And the Knicks, are the Knicks overrated defensively, Will? Because they haven't done much to slow down this Pacers offense here in Game 1 or in the first quarter here of Game 2.
I do think they're not a good defensive team. And I thought, look, I understand why you trade for Towns. I understand why they made the moves they made. Bridges, who's a good defender, not a great defender. I thought there was a toughness with last year's team, with DiVincenzo, with some of the other guys, that they just don't have this year. This team's a little softer. They're better on offense, but Towns is not, a fierce player. I think there was a toughness that went out the window with some of these moves, and you're seeing on the defensive end.
Jalen Brunson just called for an offensive foul. He drove the lane and pushed off Nembhard, who flopped a little bit there. I'd prefer they just let the guys play. You had an offensive foul on the Pacers on the other end. Just let them play a little bit, trying to call it a little bit too tight here in the first quarter. Knicks are going to get a 3 to cut it to 19-14. So now New York -2.5 and -160. It's 19-11 if you're watching on TV. Pacers inbounding the ball, but the Knicks are going to hit a 3 to cut it to 5 here. Will, anything you ended up doing, aside from you and I have similar bets on this series, over 5.5 games at -170. Knicks in 7 at 4-1 odds. And I've got the Knicks in the series at -150, which you don't feel great about after you drop Game 1 at home. Also played that New York parlay tonight with Knicks on the money line, tied to the Yankees. Anything else you have in action tonight?
No, I think that covered it. I didn't realize you played the over 5.5 games as well.
Oh yeah. That was the first bet.
Yeah.
First bet I made was over 5.5 games. Very confident it's going to be a long series. So you got to lay a price on that, of course, -170.
Sure.
Second bet I made was Knicks in 7 at 4-1. You remember Pacers and Knicks went 7 a year ago. Pacers won Game 7 in the Garden. Knicks were beat up, had a lot of injuries in that seventh game. Knicks in 7 at 4-1 odds, and then I went ahead and played the Knicks on the series price at -150. I didn't really feel like investing more in the Knicks tonight, but I do think they're going to win, find a way to win this game. And you helped talk me into it last night with the Knicks-Yankees moneyline parlay, so that's how we played it. Let's talk about this Yankees game. It's going to start here in about 15 minutes in Colorado. Clark Schmidt gets to start tonight. Circa was -$3 on the Yankees. Now it's $2.80, so I guess you could say some sharp play. on the underdog. We'll see how it plays out. But the run line is 3.5 tonight. So Yankees, Rockies in the series opener at Coors Field. And Yankees minus 280. If you want to lay 3.5 runs on the Yankees, you got to play, or you can take plus 115. Will, you and I agreed on this point. Not laying 3.5. I don't care what you think. With a high total at Coors Field, not laying 3.5. We got the Yankees just to win the game on the money line parlay with the Knicks. But if you're going to play that runs line, you would prefer to take the 3.5 at minus 135 with the Rockies, right?
Yeah, I usually talk about 3.5 being a key number in the NFL, maybe college football. You win by a field goal,
right?
And that's not enough to cover the spread. Geez, 3.5 in a baseball game is basically unheard of. I saw it yesterday. I don't think I've ever seen that before in a major league game. Yeah, I see it in college when there's a discrepancy between these teams. But my goodness, 3.5 in a major league game, I would only look towards taking those runs. You know what? Could they get blown out? Sure. I mean, it's 3.5 for a reason, but winning by 4+ runs is a hell of an expectation. I don't care how bad you are. I don't care how good the other team is. This is not the 27 Yankees. This is not prime Pedro Martinez on the mound. This is a good Yankee team. Clark Schmidt's decent, but 3.5 is just a crazy, crazy number. I'd only look to take the 3.5.
Yeah, the total 11.5. That was the same total in the last game of the Phillies-Rockies series, and the Phillies won that game 2-0. So if you took the 3.5 there, it obviously paid off. We'll see how it plays out tonight. I predicted the Yankees are going to win 7-5 tonight, so we'll see how accurate that is. But a quick update here on the NBA: Pacers up 19-14. Knicks 2.5-point favorites. Total 221.5, and Knicks minus 160. Will anything jump out to you so far in this game aside from the Pacers shooting? Both teams shooting 3 for 6 from 3-point range. And the Pacers basically getting off to a little faster start because Pascal Siakam has 11 of the 19 points.
No, I think the Knicks will be okay. Not a great start, not the start you're looking for, but we said before the show we didn't think it'd be easy. It's not easy so far, but I think the Knicks are still in decent shape.
Jalen Brunson has 6, OG Anunoby 5, and Miles McBride has a 3-pointer, which he just hit for the Knicks to cut it to a 5-point game. Chuck Esposito, the Red Rock Sportsbook Director, is going to jump on with us after the break. We'll talk about where the action showed up on the NBA and NHL games tonight. So stay tuned. Here in a couple minutes, we're going to have Chuck on. Scoreless in the hockey game in Dallas, 3 minutes into it between the Oilers and the Stars.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Pacers on top of the Knicks 22-19 at the Garden. We'll get Chuck Esposito's thoughts on that game and the NBA playoffs in general here in a couple minutes. We're going to start with hockey. Let's go out to the Progressive guest line and welcome in Chuck Esposito, Red Rock Sportsbook Director. And Chuck, you're a hockey guy, so let's talk about Edmonton and Dallas. We were scoreless about 5 minutes into the game tonight. What was the betting action like with the Stars going off as slight favorites and up 1-0 in the series?
Yeah, we need we need Dallas a little bit in this game, Matt. I think overall, both series, the road team was the team that was bet in the series, and we can see why. Florida was. Edmonton was as well early on. I think you look at Edmonton this year, and the year before you had Florida, who came back after losing to VGK and won the Cup. Edmonton lost last year, has a chance to get back this year. So they kind of were a team that everyone had been betting now. We know how good they are at home. We know they dominated the Knights, how they came back against the Kings. But they'd like to get this one to go back to Edmonton at least 1-1 instead of down 2-0. But we are Stars fans tonight a bit, guys.
Yeah, does that Chuck, do you agree with that? Did you like the Oilers a little bit tonight? Because they were up 2-1 going to the third period in Game 1, a 5-goal outburst for the Stars to win that. And you watched, just like I did, the Edmonton Oilers hand it to the Vegas Golden Knights in the previous round.
Yeah, I think the way that they came back against the Kings in the first series after they could have been down 3-0, came back and won that series. Yeah. The way they beat Vegas, they were up to, I think, 3-1 against the Stars in that game, not 2-1. I really expected that they would win one of the two games in Dallas, and the betting public has backed them now in 2 straight games.
Yeah, you're right, 3-1, and lost the game 6-3. That was the series opener in Dallas, and right now still scoreless 6
I
minutes
think,
in.
Matt, though, not to interrupt you, but I think, the key is that I look at Dallas, and I think there's a huge advantage between the pipes with Ottinger. So I think you're going to have an Edmonton team that scores a lot.
Good timing, Chuck, as Ottinger lets in a goal.
I wasn't even watching, but I do think that's where the advantage is then for them long term. I mean, don't forget that they trailed in game 1, too, and won by 3 goals.
That was great. That was classic timing. Ottinger, that's one. he looked like that was a deflection. Oilers go up 1-0, as you were talking about. The Stars' advantage goal in the goal, and that was actually 1-0 Oilers into it. They were up 3-1, like you said, going to the third period of Game 1 and lost that 6-3. So Oilers strike first tonight in Dallas. Total 6.5 in this game. And here at Circa, Dallas went off at -115. Chuck, what are your thoughts on the Eastern Conference Finals with the Florida Panthers going up 2-0 on the road against the Carolina Hurricanes?
Panthers just look unstoppable, guys. I mean, I think you look at, they played the Canes 3 times during the regular season. Both wins, they scored at least 5 goals. The 2 games during the playoffs now, they've scored 6 goals. In the games they've won, they're averaging 5.5 goals. You've got Bobrovsky between the pipes. They've excelled in the power play. They're big, they're physical. And the only game that the Canes won this year was a game in Florida, but they only scored 3 goals. They won 3-1. So the Canes are going to have to score more than that to be competitive. It just looks like this Florida team is awfully good right now, guys.
Chuck, let's switch gears to the NBA. What was it like pricing this Indiana-New York Game 2 and taxing in the motivation, that angle? And let me ask you this. If the first 46 minutes of the game ended and the Knicks had won the game and won it comfortably, then what would the line have been for Game 2?
Well, I think you look at, the regular season, these teams played 3 times, and the winning team won by 11 points or more in all 3 games. So had the Knicks won comfortably in this game, I think you would have seen a number that was probably a good 1.5 to 2 points higher than where it is right now. It's a game the Knicks, I think, have to win. I know people talk about the zigzag theory in the NBA. It's not zigzag. You lost Game 1 at home. You can't go to Indiana down 2-0, I wouldn't think. So this is a huge game for the Knicks. The betting public backed them that way, especially in the first half and the game. And we're big under fans in this game as well. The pace right now does lean toward the under a bit, but we're huge under fans, almost as big as the decision for the game itself.
We had Jeff Sherman on a few minutes ago. I asked him, I'll ask you the same thing. The money line live, when these games are seemingly out of hand, do you leave them up? Do you see people taking a chance on the comebacks late? And what's that like pricing these when you have a big margin at the end of these games?
Yeah, it's difficult because especially in that league that you see teams go on a 14-2 run, 18-4 run, that if it's the favorite that is trailing late, you definitely see some in-play or live action. And it's become a big part of what our offering is on a nightly basis. And we know if a team comes back that was down a big number, we know it's not going to be a good result on live. Conversely, if the team doesn't, more cases than not, it is favorable for our side of the counter.
How about the OKC Thunder? Seems pretty inevitable here. They're going to be holding up the trophy one way or another in a few weeks. Where are you at with that price? How do you do if they win? And how do you stop the onslaught of money coming in on people betting them to win the title?
Their odds are relatively low. I think you look at them during the regular season, guys, and they had the best against the point spread number in the league. What's impressive for me is how well they've played defensively. They're good on both sides of the court. But defensively has been the key more so than the offensive side. You look at what Minnesota's shooting percentage has been in the first 2 games, and it's been dismal, where they've shot from the 3, where they've shot just overall. I think they have to shoot better to keep this game close. The Thunder are a small favorite in this game. There's no question we're going to be Minnesota fans when this game tips. It just looks like, hey, you're laying less than 2 buckets here. We're going to come out and back the Thunder again, which they've done in 2 straight games.
Game 3, Saturday night in Minneapolis, and that's number open 4. OKC 4, now down to 2.5 at most spots. I took 3.5 with the T-Wolves, and we'll see if they show up in the spot they absolutely have to on Saturday. All right, we are at the end of the first quarter at the Garden. Chuck, can you talk about the inflation in the numbers on the first quarter and first half? Because the Knicks 6-point favorites for the game. I saw here at Circa they were laying 2.5 in the first quarter, Knicks -2.5 and 4.5 in the first half. Did you have 2.5 in the first quarter? Because Knicks lead 26-24 after the first.
Yeah, we did, and 4 in the first half, Matt. So, and the bettors did back that in both chances. They backed the Knicks. I think again, backs against the wall. You lose game 1 at home with a 14-point lead, and they backed them. So we're Pacer fans, but again, the under is what's really key for us in this game tonight.
50 points on the board after the first quarter. Live total 218.5. Chuck, probably no surprise to you that the betting public was playing the over after what happened in game 1 between these teams, right?
Yeah, no question, Matt. And I think just looking at some of the regular season games too and what they scored, I think it was 2 of the 3 games had gone over during the regular season. So yeah, no surprise at all. And the bettors much prefer to back the over than the under in most playoff games.
There were 250 points on the board at the end of regulation in game 1 between Pacers and Knicks. Pacers just went the last 5 minutes of that first quarter with only 1 made field goal, but only trailed 26-24. Knicks did not cover the first quarter line. Hey, Chuck Esposito, Red Rock Sportsbook Director with us. Chuck, Will Hill mentioned he says it seems inevitable that the OKC Thunder are going to be winning the NBA championship here in a few weeks. Do you agree with that? And which team do you think out of the East would, I guess, be the tougher test for the Thunder?
It's a really good question, guys. They're a very talented team. As I mentioned, best team against the point spread during the regular season. They're still extremely young, though. I think if the Knicks are there and knowing that they have to play in the Garden as well, which would be a tough spot. The Pacers are a veteran-laden team that has played well. I think in both cases you can't overinflate if it is the Thunder too much, because I do give either team in the East a shot to win the NBA championship, in my opinion.
Where did you watch Game 1? Were you in the book? Because that was a wild finish on Wednesday night. This is one of the best. We were talking about this. No hyperbole. It's one of the 5 best NBA playoff games I think I've ever seen. Where were you watching it?
I was actually at home watching it. I was kind of going back and forth between little pucks and watched a big comeback there and watched a big comeback in the NBA.
Yep.
But I was at home at that time watching those games.
What's the wagering handle like? Is it stronger on the Eastern Conference Finals than it is on the West right now, or very comparable?
No, it's a little bit heavier in the Eastern Conference. I mean, I looked at that earlier, and it's a little bit comparable, but I would say because it's Knicks, it's been a little heavier in the East so far.
Chuck Esposito at the Red Rock Sportsbook. Chuck, appreciate the time on a Friday night. Have a great weekend.
All right, you guys too. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Will Hill.
Thanks, Chuck.
We talked about it. Pacers were up 19-11. You had the opportunity to buy the Knicks cheap there at -2.5, -140. Number actually dropped to 1.5 after we talked about that. Now 26-24. Knicks back up to 6.5-point favorites. The money line up to $3.
And that's where the inflation on the first quarter comes into account, because 5.5, 6-point favorites, you figure you win the first quarter by 2, you should normally cover, but it's taxed into motivation, the first quarter angle, and these numbers matter.
The numbers definitely matter, no doubt about it. And that half point, maybe 1 point of inflation in the first quarter made all the difference right there, with the Knicks up 2 and laying 2.5 in the first quarter tonight. 26-24 again. Quick break here on VSiN PrimeTime. Come back here. We're going to talk more MLB betting. Yankees and Rockies about to get started at Coors Field. Karl Anthony Towns finishes off a 3-point play, 29-28. Knicks got the lead about 3 minutes into the second quarter. Will Hill, I hope you took all the money you had in the bank for your kids' college fund and put it on Pascal Siakam over his points prop tonight. Siakam's got 18 points already in this game, 18 of the first 28 for the Pacers.
Yeah, that's one where if you had the under, at least it was painless. At least you don't have to sit there and sweat and have anxiety over it. You just you rip up that ticket and you move on. Yeah, that's an impressive start from Siakam. I knew he was off to a good start, but I didn't have the box score in front of me. 18 midway through the second quarter, not even. Hell of a
now
start.
He's got 20. He just scores he scores again as we're talking about it. 31-30 Knicks. Karl Anthony Towns hit a floater. Siakam answered with a 2. So 31-30, Knicks got the lead with 9 minutes to go before the half. Great start here for Pascal Siakam, and also a pretty strong start for Jalen Brunson and OG Anunoby. 9 points each for the Knicks. pace picking up a little bit here in the second quarter. Will, it was underdog and under in the first quarter. If you took the Pacers and the points plus 2.5 and played it under, you cashed here in the first quarter. And again, you can't stress that enough. A lot of people think, oh, that inflation, that doesn't mean much when you talk about a half point or a point. It made all the difference there. You got the Knicks as 6-point favorites in the game, but laying 2.5 in the first quarter, and they lead the first by 2 when it's all said and done, 26-24. How ironic was that?
Yeah, and it's another thing, too, where the numbers matter and when you bet matters, because I'm sure if you jumped on this right away, and I don't know how quickly quarters pop up. These books, especially at least in the East Coast from what I see, are pretty good about posting derivatives, quarters, team totals like that. Is Goldschmidt here looks like he's going to get the Yankees on the board, 1-0 Yankees with a double off the wall, so that Yankees plus 135 to score in the first gets home. Know what the market's going to do. It's not just what you bet, it's when you bet. You know the market loves these teams that are desperate. These teams that are desperate, especially when they're home, they always get bet. Minnesota opens 4. Of course they're going to get bet because people think, oh, they have to win, they must win. This is the home run spot, the desperation spot. So if you're going to bet that stuff, don't just wait before the game starts and just bet the desperate team. Bet that early, and if you like the other side, you wait. So it's not just what you bet. Sometimes it's when you bet it.
It's a good point because Jeff Sherman of the Westgate Superbook, who joined us in the show tonight, he got a great number. He played Knicks first half minus 2.5 tonight. Did you hear him say that?
Hell of a number. Early bird gets the worm.
Sherman's always seems to have the best number on everything he bets. I think he's got the Indiana Fever 15-1 to win the WNBA championship, and that's like what, plus 250 right now, something like that, 3-1. Sherman's got 15-1 in his pocket. All right, quick update on baseball. I believe the Rockies going to get out of the inning there on a sliding catch by the right fielder. But you're right, Paul Goldschmidt hit a shot off the wall. Aaron Judge had a single up the middle. Goldschmidt with a shot off the wall, and the Yankees get 1, but that's it. So the Rockies limit the damage there. Will, the Yankees had a chance for a big inning, but they do get 1 in the first. Did you bet the Yankees to score in the first inning?
Small bet plus 135 to score in the first inning. I just thought with the top of the order in cores, getting a plus price, I thought that was a decent look. So they update these second inning. I'm sure I can pull it up here in a minute what their odds will be to score and probably get a plus price. Now you're not getting the fat part of the order, and that's not the greatest end of the lineup tonight with no Bellinger. The lineup tails off with who'd you say was bad at the end? Vivas and some of these guys towards the end. Volpe. It's not the strongest end of the lineup that they usually have, but it's still a good Yankee lineup. I've been impressed with them. Lead the American League in runs scored. The bullpen has looked good, so we'll keep an eye on this. I guess giving up 1 run in the first inning with the way the Rockies are playing and the way their pitching staff is I guess it's a win for them. It's not that bad to just give up 1 run.
No, I think the Rockies were a little bit fortunate to get out of that inning down 1-0. And again, sliding catch by the right fielder for the third out. The Yankees lineup tonight is Trent Grisham, who's been a pleasant surprise in the leadoff spot. Yeah. Aaron Judge, Ben Rice, Paul Goldschmidt, Jason Dominguez, Volpe, Wells, LeMahieu, and Vivas at the bottom of the order. When are we going to see Giancarlo Stanton? Do you have an update on when you think Stanton's going to be back? Because I think he's getting close.
It's a great question. I don't think he's hit rehab games. I think he's hitting off live pitching. He's progressed to that, so I'm sure they'll be careful with him. He has earned a lot of Yankee fans' respect after his dominant postseason last year. Not only in the ALCS, but in the World Series, he had big homers. He's a big time player. It's just keeping him on the field has been an issue. So I'm sure the Yankees with a 5-game lead here in Stan's injury history and no rush. So I would think within a month, as long as he's on track. I haven't seen any updates as far as he's not on rehab yet, and he's progressing towards hitting live pitching, and then just kind of go from there.
Quick update here. Big surge by the Knicks, who are about to get a 3 to go up 38-33 with 7 minutes to go before the half. Knicks 6.5-point favorites and minus 298. Those are the live numbers. I think that's McBride. Missed the 3. Anthony Towns rebounded it, and Cat hits the 3 to put the Knicks up 38-33 here. So Knicks bottomed out at minus 1.5. Now the line's 6.5. The money line dipped to minus 140, now up to $3 with the Knicks up 38-33. You're seeing a lot of moves on these live betting numbers here just in the first, first 15, 16 minutes of this game at the Garden tonight. Update in MLB, what's happening in Cincinnati. Reds closed as short home dogs. The Cubs are minus 115 tonight, total of 8.5. And bottom of the sixth, this game threatening to get over the total. Reds on top of the Cubs, 6-2. Paul Skeens, not one of his best starts tonight, not like he got bombed, but Skeens went for the Pirates. He went 6 innings, gave up 1 run, struck out 8. Very strong. Actually, it was Rainey who came in from the bullpen and gave up 2 runs in the next inning after Skeens left the game. So the Brewers lead the Pirates 3-2. And Skeens in that game went off as a 120 favorite. Brewers have a 3-2 lead, top of the 7th. Giants lead the Nationals 3-0, top of the 8th. Will, what do you have your eyes on right now in MLB action?
Yeah, I gave out last night Pittsburgh on the first 5 on the money line, and that actually got home. I think they were up 2-0 after 5. Skeens had only given up 1 hit, 1 single through 5, so it was late where the wheels come off. And this is a perfect, teaching moment, betting example. You want, if you're playing these these really good pitchers, especially on the crappy teams. Skubal doesn't qualify anymore, but for a couple of years, Tigers weren't good, but he was great. Skeens on the Pirates. If you like the pitcher but you don't like the team, you almost have to do it on the first 5 because you want no part of the bet. If it's 1-0 after 5, 1-1 after 5, you don't want the lineup. You don't want the bullpen. You want to really hone in. Your handicap is the starting pitcher. So play those first 5 money lines. It really takes away a lot of the variance, a lot of the bad beats, because now if you bet Skeens for the full game, you're not in great shape. You're down 3-2. And the whole reason you bet this was Skeens. And these guys don't pitch, 7, 8, 9 innings anymore. These guys are 5, 6 inning starters, 7 at the most. Anything beyond that's extremely rare. So really sticking to those first 5 when you're handicapping the starting pitcher is the way to go.
That's a great point because we talked about that last night. Skeens in the first 5. Pirates led 2-0 after 5. So you cash that if you bet Skeens in the first 5. Obviously, you're paying a higher price, too, if you're going to bet Skeens in the first 5 instead of the full game. But that's the way you got to play it with the Pirates. Did you notice, Will, in the previous game, if you bet Skeens in the first 5, you lost? He went 8 innings, allowed 3 hits, struck out, 8 or 9, but he trailed 1-0 after 5 innings and lost 1-0 to the Phillies. But tonight, first 5, Skeens and the Pirates pay off. We're in a rain delay at Citi Field between the Dodgers and the Mets. Clayton Kershaw starts tonight. He goes 2 innings, 26 pitches, but it looks like an hour-long rain delay. Griffin Canning for the Mets goes 2 2/3 before play is stopped. Looks like the Dodgers got runners on 2nd and 3rd with 2 outs. With a long rain delay, with Clayton Kershaw making his 2nd start after a long injury break, I got to think, Will, that Kershaw is probably not going to return to the game tonight.
I got a better chance of pitching the 3rd inning for the Dodgers than Clayton Kershaw. It's not happening. They won't bring him back with his injury history. I wouldn't think.
Padres and Braves tied at 1. And how about Ronald Acuna off, what did we say, 362 or 363 days? He comes back and he hits a solo homer in his first swing tonight for the Braves.
Yeah, incredible. Big piece to have in the lineup. We'll see how he can run because obviously the legs are a big part of his game, but the power, the speed, so tricky leading off the game because if you're careful with him and you walk him, he could steal 2nd, steal 3rd, and it's a cheap run. If you leave a fat one over the middle of the plate, he could change the score and hit one out right away. So a very dynamic player to say the least. And the Braves getting a little healthier. Strider, Acuna, maybe they still have a shot here in the NL East. Plus 550 at DraftKings, I don't think is the worst bet.
Oh, they definitely have a shot. Braves have a shot with a long way to go. You got 4 months of baseball left, and the Braves are right there in it. 40-33. Pacers hit a 3, 40-36, Knicks up by 4. This summer, go all in at Circa Las Vegas with Ultimate Getaway package, just $400 all in. You get a 2-night stay at Circa, a $100 dining credit, a $100 beverage credit, and your own day bed at Stadium Swim, all for $400. That includes resort fees and taxes. Limited time offer valid for stays between May 26th and September 4th. Don't miss out. Lock in your all-in summer package now at circalasvegas.com.